Welcome back, everyone, to Black Bull Podcast. Today, we have Pono.
Hello, it's me.
So, Pono has, let me switch the camera. So, this is his style right here. You got a really interesting, it's very like printmaking, linoleum cut block. Am I wrong about that? Right about that?
It's pretty graphic as far as like graphic work is concerned. It's not very, I guess, layered so much.
Yeah.
More about characters.
Well, okay, it kind of has almost like a Native American feel to it a little bit, but then also I get that sense of like New Mexico vibe a little bit too. But you're also from Texas?
Yes, I am.
So when did you come up here?
Well, actually, originally I came up here about 10 years ago.
That's been a while.
Yeah, but I left in 2010. So I was here from 2005 to 2010, and then I took off, went back to Texas, was working, doing wind farm construction, and then came back on a whim. I've just missed it ever since, so I decided to come on back. So I got here like 3 months ago.
Really? So what was that transition like coming from, I mean, I personally have never even been to Texas. Are you from Austin? Is that right? Or
I'm not from Austin. I'm from Monahans, which is like far west Texas.
Far west.
Yeah, Midland,
Wow.
Odessa area.
Okay, so how was that transition to Portland?
This time it's been interesting. I think it's just like actually the transition from kind of like a smaller place to this city is what I faced kind of early on, and I'm still kind of making that transition, but like every day it's getting a little easier. Just getting used to traffic and people, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the traffic is definitely terrible. So I definitely recognize that you have, like I said, that printmaking background. Like where did it start for you?
And
as
far as like art in general, or just this kind of style?
Well, let's just talk about like your personal style, because that's something that I think a lot of people, they try, that's like their destiny. Like, I want to like create my style, and they experiment with so many different things. I mean, what connected with you visually to end up where you're at? Because you have a really distinct style.
Okay, well, it's probably a few different influences, but I think the main influence of mine is growing up ranching, like growing up in the Southwest, and
keep that up closer.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, growing up ranching, being a cowboy basically for my whole life, and I feel like the desert has always been my home. So I think a lot of the motifs like you see in like saddle blankets or Western shirts just kind of started to like seep into like my subconscious or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, even just before we started the podcast, you were talking about like you're ripping up some roots out of the ground and how satisfying that was. So, I mean, is that kind of your inner cowboy coming out?
For sure.
And do you think that sort of mentality has translated to your visual style?
Yeah, I think so. I think I definitely go through phases in work, and like, I kind of go in and out of this like really graphic kind of. There's like a playful violence that I use, and I think a lot of it has to do with like some kind of subconscious relation to where we are as a culture, like society, and the history of this country.
Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of like metaphors.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So when you are like building up your ideas, like how do you go about your creative process?
Well, okay, let's see. To start, I start with kind of like, I guess, a feeling. So something happens. So a lot of the characters that I come up with, it's representative of like the human condition. They're meant to be related to. So, they're struggling. A lot of times they're like impaled with their own weapons or whatever, or they're like, they're bleeding and they're traveling, trying to make it somewhere. And I feel like that's kind of representative of like most people, struggles, right?
Yeah, I could see that. So like, could you go a little deeper on that, like example wise? Like, what do you deal with? Or there's something that you've seen that you did kind of translate into your pieces?
I think just like heartbreak is one big one. Like that's everybody's gone through heartbreak at some point in life, and I think that kind of fuels a lot of people's art, a lot of people's creativity. Is that's how you deal with it,
Yeah, I definitely feel for you on that one. And that kind of like rolls into like the idea of doing art almost as a form of therapy. And I know that a lot of people do that.
For sure.
I mean, but there's some people that do it and their artwork is just strictly for that.
Yeah.
But like, you make pretty damn cool artwork.
Thanks.
Just for it to appear like you're doing it for therapy. I mean, how do you feel about that?
I think that a lot of it has to do with I just kind of got really OCD about my line work. Mm-hmm. And when I lived here back in 2005, I had a roommate that was actually Haida Lakota native. He was up in the Victoria Islands. I think he was from Ketchikan, but he was actually working under a totem pole carver. And so he moved to Portland, ended up living with me, and we would just like get super high and collaborate on drawings, and it would just blow my mind. But he had this style that was passed down to him from his culture called formline, and we kind of just took up each other's styles in a way and started melding them together, and that kind of melded in with my like Western like kind of cowboy style,
Yeah, I feel like I can see like the totem influences on your style too, because I mean it's like the idea of things kind of being stacked up, but you also have like the Western vibe on it too.
Yeah, lots of birds. It's kind of started out as like this weird like horse mule thing, and then it kind of evolved into like sharper teeth, into like this wolf character like coyote with this bird that's usually facing backwards. It's kind of like the soothsayer, or the wise one that's kind of watching this kind of foolish character do these foolish things. I
knew there was a deep meaning. I knew there was something deep going on there. Gosh, do you ever like write about like the symbolism in your artwork?
I want to. I just haven't had the time. Time has been like hard to come by lately.
Because I feel like you have the kind of artwork where if I saw it up and then I read the description on the side, I'd be like, oh man, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking about, doing some sort of like little narrative and pieces soon, like on the next series of work that I do.
Yeah. I think that'd be super helpful, just for so much that's going on in your head. To see like the little bird on top chomping away at what would you say that is, the mule?
That guy's probably more like the coyote character.
Oh yeah,
they're kind of like, what do you say, anamorphic or anthropomorphic? Anthropomorphic. They're just a kind of a mix. They can really be up to the interpreter, right?
Yeah,
the viewer.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself like a street artist or a printmaker? I mean, because I know that you dabble. It seems like a lot of things.
Yeah. Strictly, I am kind of none of those things, and then I am also all of those things. Yeah. Because I guess it's kind of like, in a way, like music. There's always like the label of the genre, and I just never really took on any kind of label as to what kind of artist I am. Like if I'm a painter or a sculptor or a
But like, muralist. where do you want to be?
I don't know. I just want to be painting. Like that's what I want to do. It's just, it doesn't matter where or how. I do love painting outside. That's where the street comes in. Being outside, like breathing fresh air.
Well, that's probably the cowboy in you. It's like you're outside, but you enjoy creating, like you like doing visual stuff, but you also like the freedom of just being out in the wilderness in a weird way.
Yeah, and being able to like walk around, like walk away from your piece, walk back to it.
For someone who likes the outdoors a lot, it's right. I'm surprised you're in the city, like you're in Portland.
Yeah, Portland feels kind of like like a small city, big town. It still feels that way. You know, it's grown a lot in 10 years, but it still has that vibe for sure.
Yeah.
But you know, and we're surrounded by like all sorts of nature. So even like the city parks here, I told people in Texas, I said Portland city parks are like state parks in Texas. Like some of the city parks here could be state parks in other states, you know?
Yeah. Texas seems kind of like a crazy place.
It is, yeah.
Like I said, I've never been there, but I just hear all those stories about people who own tigers. Like there's more tigers in Texas than in anywhere else in the world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Right. So how many tigers have you seen?
Tigers.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
Probably a couple.
Yeah, you've seen a couple. Yeah. It just
out in the wild.
I just hear about stuff like that and I'm like, man, the art scene there must be super segmented. I don't know why, but I feel like places like Austin are probably completely different from a place that like, well, I forgot where you're from.
West Texas, like Midland, Odessa area.
Yeah.
So that's where like that's like the desert, Chihuahuan Desert, and then it's also like the epicenter of the oil field. Like it's a huge boom right now.
Really?
Yeah, it's insane out there.
Does that just like take over the town?
For sure. Wow. Yeah. It's hard to find, like when you go to the grocery store, like all the aisles are just completely empty of bread or milk or like, you know, the staples are just all gone.
Why are they gone?
Because everybody's out there working, dude, like supporting their families. And there's like one grocery store in the town that I'm from, and that's where everybody's staying. So the rent is insanely expensive there for this tiny town of like 11,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Man. What I always kind of like asking about people's like unpopular opinions about the art scene and like social media today.
Yeah.
Like what do you have any that's come up to your head right off the bat? Yeah, you can pull that back. Just grab it. Yeah.
There we go. All
because I like bringing up like the whole social media thing, and I think deep down social media is just like screwing up everyone's minds. Like for example, like I always have those friends that will like Instagram story everything they do.
Yeah.
And
I do that sometimes.
And that's so I'm okay. There's right ways and wrong ways to do it. If it's like a bragging kind of way, I'm just like, come on, man, like stop doing that shit. But then there's other people just like to show. They like to show the hustle, like to show they're doing things, like to show they're creating. But I think that's more useful to the platform than just to show that you're at a nice restaurant.
For sure. You know what I mean? I usually just use it for stupid videos,
and that's okay.
Yeah,
I think that's more
a stupid character and just go with it for the day or something.
Because it's at least like you showing your personality, not showing something else.
Yeah.
It's like people who take photos of artwork and post that.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Yeah, like someone else's artwork.
Right, but people do it all the time.
And not giving credit. Yeah.
You're right.
Well, so for me, I guess, I think everyone can relate to this, is that social media is a double-edged sword. Like, I think Instagram right now, you know, since the what is it, the algorithm change or whatever, it didn't really like affect me that much, I guess, because I didn't really have that many followers to start. I actually deleted Instagram before a few years ago. I had a lot more followers than I do now, and I deleted it because I thought it was just pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was detracting from my actual like artwork, because you know, you see everyone looking at art and you're just swiping, you're just scrolling through and not really absorbing too much. You know, you're seeing like this square, this tiny, like, what is it, like 2.5 by 2.5 square or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, that kind of degrades art. That degrades the value of like the true value of art.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got fed up with Instagram, and so I deleted it. I deleted Facebook, you know, kind of went through all the
shit.
Yeah, it is.
Dude,
but I sell a lot of shirts on Facebook, but it's all like, you know, family and friends. They're like always pretty supportive, which is cool.
It does seem like Facebook versus Instagram is clearly defined by an age demographic right now. The people that are really on Instagram are, I don't know, 20 to 35, and then like 35 to 40 or older.
is
Facebook, or maybe like 40 to 65. I mean, it's just, I don't know why.
Yeah, it's dividing up like that. I think the youth will always catch on. Like you're always like marketing to the youth, because the youth culture is going to like fuel that economy for that application or whatever, right?
But
so
also
like TikTok is like the next thing, right?
Yeah, TikTok is like the middle school, high school people right now.
Yeah.
Maybe even college. Yeah.
Pretty young crowd on there. Like I joined because I listened to some like Gary V talk or something, and he was talking about it. I was like, I'm gonna check this out, and now I get constant notifications, and I just I'm too lazy to like turn the notifications off. Yeah. So I don't even never really use it, but I see it.
I did like a couple of the filters. I thought the delay filters were funny.
Yeah.
But okay, I will say there is something good about that. What I think is good about TikTok, even though it does not apply to artists really at all. Yeah. Like at least not yet. I can't say that I've really figured it out. Like, but one thing that is good about it is that it encourages people to show their personality.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it's just you talking to your phone, and that's it. Yeah. You know, maybe a couple like effects that you can play off on, but I mean, Facebook is just photos and ads
and
of
the news, the fake news.
That's right. It's just like a really bad Reddit of articles and photos.
Yeah. I don't know what happened, but anytime I'm on Facebook, I somehow just, I'm able to like skim through all that. The thing that catches me on Facebook now is like when you watch a video of like a schoolyard fight or something, and it'll keep scrolling through videos. Yeah. So you'll just watch the next one and the next one. And I'll sit there for like 30 minutes watching videos of like whatever.
Right. You know? Yeah. Yeah. No, Facebook is...
It's addictive. That part is.
It's kind of addictive. Okay. Well, Facebook's good at knowing, it's like, oh, you looked at that, or you watched that video. Yeah. So we're going to find more like that and just pile them on. But they also do this thing where they just keep showing you stuff from the same 10 people.
Exactly.
Like, I think I have like over 1,000 friends on Facebook, but I only see 20 people's stuff.
Yeah, and that probably is how they probably use the similar algorithm for Instagram, because, you know, Facebook owns Instagram now, right? And that's kind of where they took it. So you're right. You know, I have like 1,300 friends, and it's like I only know maybe in real life like a couple hundred of them. Yeah. You know, and then I only see maybe like 50 of their posts usually. Yeah.
Yeah. But then the other thing is like they show posts from a few days ago.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of, it's not chronological. You should at least have the option.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. But I wonder like what's really going to be next for artists, because I remember when Twitch came out. Yeah. That I thought was like, oh, that's going to be the next thing. And then Drake all of a sudden was on Twitch and that like was huge for Twitch. But it seems like that kind of fizzled out a little bit. And
I don't know anything about Twitch.
It's just streaming. Yeah. And then a lot of the gamers picked up on it, and it was, them playing the games was all kind of live. But I think YouTube kind of swooped in and did a lot of their live streaming stuff on there. Yeah. But then again, also Instagram does live stuff too, Instagram Live. And then IGTV swooped in, and they were trying to like pull metaphorically shares from YouTube in that way, and they were trying to be like their own little YouTube, but the vertical phone. I mean, it's just I don't know.
It's a lot to keep up with.
Oh my God, it's so much.
And then you got Snapchat in there somewhere,
Yeah, I guess Snapchat's still on like their last leg. Are they? Maybe it's still big in the high school, middle school range.
I don't know. I use it for filters to make up characters, and I'll just make a video of some character, like, here's Bob mowing the lawn, this is how you do it, and then I'll like cut my hand off or whatever. And that's what I use it for. Yeah. But they definitely changed their platform too, and it sucks now. But I think the main thing about social media though is that it is important to take breaks from that shit.
Yeah. It's important to take breaks for yourself. I mean, you brought up Gary V. Gary V would disagree. Yeah. We need to make content. We need
all the time.
More content. Film everything.
Post 5 times a day.
Yeah, post 5 And then all of a sudden you're selling wine. You're like, oh, how did this happen?
This shitty wine. I guess I'll drink it.
Damn it. You're working for your dad again. Like, what's going on? Oh, man. Yeah. I definitely fall in that trap of watching those Gary V videos.
Yeah. I mean, but eventually they all start to kind of sound the same. He's like,
They do. Well, they all encourage the same thing. It's like, gotta like keep hustling, keep grinding. But then there's like this people, like, what is it, Tony Robbins?
yeah.
I feel like that's where it gets. I mean, I don't really watch much Tony Robbins, but when I hear about him having people walk on coal
To face their fears or
yeah,
whatever.
at his like live shows, and they have to like get taken away in an ambulance.
Oh, really? So they burn their shit.
Yeah, no, they definitely burn their shit. And then I wonder like what's going on here?
Yeah, that's weird. It's kind of like, did you ever hear of Benny Hinn? He was like this televangelist that was huge, like in the 90s, and he would like rake in millions and millions of dollars, like in the tithes or whatever. Like, so he would go sell out these coliseums, and then like he was a faith healer, so he would like heal people, but he was just like he was a scam artist, you know?
Yeah,
I saw him live.
Wait, is he the Asian guy?
Yeah, that's him. He's like, I think he's like an Indian fella.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of another guy. But yeah, they're kind of scammy, and they're just really good salesmen.
Yeah. Oh, he was great to watch. It was super entertaining.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But I've seen. Okay, there was this one guy. I wish I could remember his name, but it was so clearly a scam that he, just to like keep building up on his scam, he had like a TED talk, but it was like a TEDx one.
Yeah.
Which is, you can basically throw your own TEDx.
Interesting.
That's kind of how it works. And I'm like, man, this guy is so deep into his scam that he's like throwing his own TEDx's to like talk about his scam even more and like seem convincing. But again, he's a good salesman. So you hear it and you're like, oh, okay, there's some interesting points. And
what's this guy selling?
It was high ticket closers.
Okay, like closers.
I'm gonna probably get mad shit for like talking about it, because like all the people that are high ticket closers could be like, no, he's not a scam, he's the best. And no, it totally seemed like a scam, because all you do is you train people to like close high tickets. But I remember I met a couple people that did it, and they were broke as shit, and they were bragging. Like,
funny how that works,
following
right?
This high ticket. I'm like, dude, that's not working for you.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, we're so far off the topic of art, but
but
it's like
art.
It's good. No, but it's good to talk about like people that do get scammed and fall into these rabbit holes that they can't get out of. And
it's like joining a cult.
It's like joining a cult. It's like any type of pyramid scheme. Like, who's gonna be the one to tell them stop?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, Uncle Sam at some point. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we all hope that the government cracks down on it.
Sure.
I don't know. Anyways, art. Yeah.
Yeah, art.
Yeah. So what do you want to do next with your artwork? You say you always kind of have a few things going on medium wise, but like what's next for you?
I've got to knock out a few commissions that I rarely take commissions, and I took a few kind of all at once. So they're just like, they're the ones that I get halfway through and then something else comes up. So they're sitting on the shelf and like just in the back of my mind, like every day.
Yeah.
I'm ready to knock those out. But after that, I'm planning a series kind of based off of the collaboration with RX Skulls for his 10th anniversary show, his solo show.
I saw your collab. That was pretty rad.
Yeah. So it's just like a lot of layers. I'm going to do a lot of layers, spray paint, whatever, glitter. I do a lot of sanding. I'll be sanding a lot.
You're sanding, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like wood sanding, like I use like a palm sander or an orbital sander to sand down the piece. So I'm painting on wood, and I'll sand through these layers of paint to kind of like expose the other layers.
Well, kind of like skateboard, how it's like layer like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't get that I don't go like through the plies usually. Like I'll just go through layers of paint. And then I'll get it so smooth that I can like my brush will move very easily across the surface. And I'm just going to do a lot of characters in line work, like really thick line work, a lot of black, a lot of crazy looking, just kind of frenetic looking characters.
So do you literally just paint layers on layer on layer on layer until you start sanding?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or usually I'll start with a piece of wood and I'll sand it first, and then I'll do like a layer of gesso or a layer of like white house paint to prime it. I'll sand that, and then I'll start just going in with colors. And I like to use like a squeegee, or I'll use like a paint mixer, like one of those sticks, like a yardstick or something, and scrape it. So I'll get like a marbling kind of look, kind of texture.
I've never heard anything like that.
It's cool. It's really cool when you sand it and then you paint over it and you can like pull it out again.
Wow. So those are like 3D pieces in a way.
Yeah, in a way. I think they're going to get a little more 3D because I'm going to resin coat the background. So it'll just be like this background kind of weird looking graffiti layer, right? I kind of want it to look like abandoned walls that have just been hit so many times, like tagged up so many times that you just can't really recognize anything, you know?
Yeah.
So then I'll hit that with resin and let that cure. And I'm going to come back and paint on resin and do a couple layers and layer it up.
Wow. So how do you know when to stop? Because I know that's like a big issue with a lot of artists. They don't know when to be done with it. And that seems like a project that could just keep building and building into this like monster that takes over.
Sometimes it's like about building a relationship with that piece, because a lot of times I don't even know what I'm going to do. When I start, I just like this dimension. I'm like, okay, I want like a 36 by 36, you know? So I want this like square piece, and I'll start it, and I don't know where it's going. I'll throw a bunch of colors on it and just play around with it, sand it for days, and then I'll see something. I'll be like, okay, this is what needs to happen now. And sometimes it'll hit me like that, and I see it all at once.
Dude, that sounds like anxiety. It's like you go into it kind of blind. You're like, I don't know where this is gonna go, but I'm hoping I'll find it.
I've got faith in it now. Like I've got faith in the process, and I think a lot of that is due to painting at Castle Hill in Austin. I painted there a lot. It was like an old abandoned. I think it was gonna be like an apartment complex, and then it was abandoned, and it was just basically they turned it into an outdoor gallery for writers to come paint. Huh. And so, but you know, you would make a piece and it would get covered up, and like sometimes I've seen people working on their piece and then a kid come up and just write their name on it.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's like, you know, it's kind of like with the Buddhist sand, the guys that do the Buddhist monks that make those sand mandalas. Yeah. You know, they make this crazy ass sand mandala and then they just like wipe it off after they're done. They let it sit for like a few hours and they just brush it off. So you get used to painting with the expectation that you're not going to see your piece again, you know? Mm-hmm. And I forgot where I was going with that, but it's something like that. There was the pressure. So it's like the pressure. There is really no pressure. It was just like, okay, if this sucks, you know, it's going to get painted over anyways, so might as well just go for it, you know?
Yeah, it's almost like you're trying to not get attached to it. Oh my God, this is totally like relationship shit. Like in the very beginning, it's like it's all about like we've come like completely full circle on this. You don't get too attached to it. You know, you can just paint over it. That's it. Yeah, that's an interesting mentality. But I think you have more of a Buddhist take on it, though. I like that. Yeah, that makes more sense.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of it also comes from sketchbook, dude. That's like the bread and butter, I think, of kind of any like, I want to say, I guess, like traditional artist that's painting or, you know, doing whatever, but making visual art. The sketchbook is like, you got to have that. It starts there. And so I had this rule, because I draw with, I never like hardly ever start with like a pencil sketch or something. It just weirds me out. Like I'll see it and then I'll start using ink and then I can't flow. So I'll just start with like ink pens. And sometimes, you know, I'll screw up, like, you know, I'll screw up a line or whatever, fill in the wrong like part black. And then I realize like, okay, well, I made this rule that's like, if I screw up, I've got to make it work. I have to finish the piece no matter what, even if it's looking like shit, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a discipline thing.
Yeah.
If you just kind of keep abandoning your pieces, then you're never going to get anywhere. But if you really try to like push through and commit to it and make sure that it turns into something, then I mean, that's more satisfying.
True.
We talked a little bit about that too, about how small things can be satisfying, even if it's not like a huge piece, but just kind of telling yourself, no, I'm gonna push through and do this one.
Yeah, I think kind of in a past life or in my earlier life, I was not very responsible. I left a lot of things undone. So for me, art kind of became the thing that I had complete control over, and it was the thing that I could finish. So I started something, I wanted to finish it. And so I get really OCD about those things that I don't finish. Like the commissions, like they're in the back of my mind right now, you know. I'm probably going to go to the studio after this and try to knock something out, you know.
Do you think that's a common trait with artists, that early in life, a lot of us didn't finish things as well as we should have? Or it might have been because, and I'm going to try to take this like somewhere.
Yeah.
Because that we didn't traditionally like what they teach you in school. At least that was kind of like me. I wasn't that good at math, wasn't very good at science. I wasn't good at like history, or like I wasn't that good at all that stuff. But like art was the one thing that I did kind of understand and did have a good grasp on. So maybe with all those traditional things they teach you, I was never good at finishing it.
Yeah.
But then as I figure out in life, this is kind of what I want to do, that's when you go more, as Gary Vee would say, all in on it.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of artists can relate to that. I think it's just one of those things that when you get into it and you start feeling yourself like creating and getting into your own flow, then it becomes your signature. It becomes who you are. It's like your essence is kind of like flowing out of you, you know, and then that ultimately makes you realize who you are even more as a person, you know, like stepping into yourself. Yeah. So like a lot of the characters that I come up with are kind of like probably like past glimpses of like maybe this guy right here that's cut off his arm, you know, it's like, you know, it just got broken up with or something, dude. Something terrible. Or, you know, like lost a family member, something like that. And these are like kind of reactions. I'm like capturing this moment of intense emotional reaction. And then sometimes it's just the opposite of that. Trying to just capture like beauty or something. Yeah.
Well, there's losing a part of them with the splash. I mean, that can go a lot of different ways, man. I like that. What would you change about the art world if you could?
Well, let's see here. Is this a loaded question, man?
No, it's not. I just think there's sometimes things that bug people about, or I mean, when SK was here, he said he thought that if social media was gone tomorrow, that a lot less people would do art.
He's right. Yeah. Absolutely. Dude, art's going to outlast every single app that exists now or will exist in the future. Yeah. Like it's so much more than this like part of this commerce, this like economy or whatever. It's almost become a a parody of itself.
Yeah.
And I mean, in fact, it has in so many ways, but what I would change about the art world, I mean, nothing. I think right now is just like where it needs to be, because I think it needs to break. I think it needs to come back full circle to what art actually like really is. And so my friend Sheldon that I mentioned earlier, he was like the Haida native descendant, a direct descendant of Charles Edenshaw, who was like a master carver. Well, he explained to me that the Haida people never had a word for art. It was just their culture, like in their longhouses, totem poles, everything was art. Their clothes, hats, pipes, boxes, whatever. But that was just the culture. Everybody was an artist. Everybody carved. Everybody did something, weaved. And there was no word for art because it wasn't separate from who we are.
Right.
So now like art is like this in this little box. You want it packaged and you want to sell it immediately, you know?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think there's two different kinds of art. There's like the bowls and fruit paintings.
Yeah.
And
like
then
some
there's
still lifes.
And then there's the ones that actually make people think about life differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Perspective.
I mean, I think really obvious example, Banksy.
Yeah.
He makes everyone think about life, and he's doing probably one of the best jobs at it right now. But then there's the other people who are just trying to sell those bowls of fruit, and they might be making a lot of money on those bowls of fruit. But the people like Banksy are the ones that we really want. We want people to make you think about, want like the symbolism to make you deconstruct what is happening around you and piece it back together in a more meaningful way.
I will say this. I do respect a quality still life.
True. I'm with you on that. We've all done a still life class and been like, damn, that's pretty impressive. Well, it sucks, but like, damn, they did a good job at that though.
That's never going to be, I thought about this before. I know that I have skill that I could develop to like do really, really nice portraits or something.
Yeah.
It's just, but life is too short. I'm going to I feel like I need to run with like what I have right now, pursue that. Like to the depths. Well,
I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about before, like finding your style. I feel like you have found your style and now you just need to keep pushing that style.
Yeah, for sure.
But I have a feeling the cowboy in you is going to want to start exploring other lands.
Yeah.
Or at least other mediums. I think other mediums, that's productive and that's cool. You do a good job of collaborating with other people. You're out here on a podcast. You're talking about your ideas. I mean, I think you should keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the plan. Just keep, mowing lawns during the day and painting at night, right?
Hey, man, that works. Any other comments or ideas you want to put out there for other artists that are kind of trying to figure out their style? Or trying to break through in the art world of Portland?
I guess I was thinking about this. I hear this a lot, especially recently. It's kind of a cliche saying, but
lay it on me.
You ready for this?
I'm ready for it.
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Like, you don't be too hard on yourself. We all do that, and man, it puts you through the ringer. When you're too hard on yourself, you start to compare yourself to shit. You compare yourself to other people's work that you will never do in a million years. I mean, it's their artwork, right? But somehow we find ourselves in this like comparison mode, and it's like this self-deprecating. It's like probably fueled by ego, but it's terrible for your creativity. I think you got to have fun. You got to like let go of this idea that there's a definition of art or what it has to be, or that it has to mean anything, like, or that it has to mean something to somebody else. Yeah.
I think that's a good thing to end on. There we go.
Right on.
How can people find you?
Well, right now I don't have a website. So
no website, but you're on Insta.
Yeah, on the old Instagram. That's Pono Pinto. So it's like a pinto bean, one of my favorite foods, or a paint horse if you're a horseman or a horsewoman. Pono Pinto. That's Pono, which is actually a Hawaiian word, which means in the basic sense it means righteousness.
Oh.
So that's the way I came up with that name. There's actually a really long story behind it. I don't have to go into it, but basically I have a lot of friends on the Big Island in Hawaii, and I heard this word Pono being used quite a bit, and anytime somebody was describing someone that was really cool, like trustworthy, just like honest, like good people, they always said, yeah, they're Pono, and so I had quite a bit of a drinking problem for a while, and I just reached 1 year sobriety like last week.
Oh, congrats, man.
But I was working in Dodge City, or I was staying in a hotel in Dodge City, Kansas, working on a wind turbine construction site, and it was the first time that I tried to like really quit drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I got to change something. Like, I have to like quit drinking in order to actually do something with my art, because that means more to me than this booze or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, what? I have to change. Like, I have to call myself something. And that was the word Pono. That's more of something to like aspire to, rather than like saying, oh, I'm righteous. It's like Pono is just a reminder to be righteous, to be the true state of nature. If you can, when you can, I
like that, man. Glad you shared that. That's cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. Everyone check out Pono Pinto on Instagram. He's a cool guy, obviously, makes some really cool artwork. So, and if you see him around town, say hi in his hood and sunglasses.
Nobody knows who I am.
Yeah, no one knows. Anyways, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone out there. Bye-bye.